And welcome back. We're going to be talking about potable water and the decision that was made up in the state that might affect the El Toro Water District and what we have right down here, but not too quickly. No, we're not going to get there that fast. Director Kathleen Fresh is going to tell us all about that and what the decision means for local water and what we do here.
Right. Okay.
Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. It's haven't been here in a couple of years.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. Well, I've been a long-time resident, so I'm pretty familiar with the community.
Yeah, and, right. And the thing is that you're also not only a resident, but you're also making sure our water quality is the best it can be.
Absolutely.
And the decision up in Sacramento to allow districts to start looking at the use of potable water doesn't mean we're going from, I know that's a terrible term, from toilet to tap tomorrow or anything like that, right? But explain to us a little bit about.
We don't use that term.
I know. I knew you would like that.
that gets people upset.
Right, and that's what I think. There's that concern of like we're using wastewater, we're using this kind of, and I don't want to be drinking that thing. So tell us a little bit about the basics of what is potable reuse? What is it all about?
Well, it really is taking our wastewater and processing it, and taking it and trying to close the cycle. Mm-hmm. Because what did we typically do for years? People used water, went down the sewer, and for many years went directly to the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, then the laws were changed, and we can't just put it in the ocean. We have to clean it up.
Treat it, and
so
then
we have
put it back.
waste treatment plants. Mm-hmm. So you're taking out all the solids. You're cleaning it chemically. So that by the time we send, and we still send about 1 million gallons a day to the ocean, okay, but it's clean. It's been cleaned to meet the standards for the ocean. It's not to the standards that we could drink.
Right.
Okay, and so what we're trying to do is basically, is to close the whole cycle, human cycle. We have to ingest water. We're going to process it within the body, and we're going to eject it. And if we can take it and process it and reuse it, then we've closed the cycle and we reduce the amount of water we need to have.
You talked about that's 1 million gallons a day we're talking about, right?
Right now.
That's a lot of water that could be used, and we could.
Well,
have some
actually, most of our that's what's extra. Most of our wastewater is recycled back to the land. Mm-hmm. All of Third Mutual, nearly all of Third Mutual, except for Gate 11 and Gate 14, have recycled water.
Okay.
And parts of United do that are in Gate 5, 6. Okay? But we're not able to carry further. Okay? It just wasn't economically sound at that point for us to carry any further and process that extra 1 million gallons.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the direct benefits of reuse of potable water.
Right. Well, the direct benefits is it makes it more drought-proof because we're not going to require as much fresh water.
Right.
If you stop and think about it.
Right.
I mean, that's logical, say.
Right.
Okay. We're reducing the ocean discharge, which we want to try to do by using it ourselves, cleaning it up, instead of dumping it to the ocean. It takes far less energy because, the alternative, everybody's talking about, well, we got the ocean sitting out there, let's desalinate the ocean.
Right, and that's a real, you talk about
that takes a lot of power to take the salt out of the water. It's much easier and takes less energy consumption to remove, once we've already cleaned it mostly, and for landscaping, to take it the next steps through, there's 2 more steps of osmosis, reverse osmosis, and in purifying with ultraviolet. That's much less costly, much less use of electricity. From a societal standpoint, it's more efficient for us.
Right, we're not putting that strain on the Colorado River and Northern California for our water supply, so it makes a lot of sense to explore this at least, right?
Well, and that's where we're moving, in that we'll have less demand. If people stopped and thought about it, the space station's been up there for years. Do you think that every time they run up there, they carry water to those people?
Right, they have a recycling system up there.
They have a full recycling up there.
Right.
And that has been there for years, and people are up there for a year at a time. So it isn't anything new.
Right.
It's just new. It's new for us And actually, it's going to be new for California. In Texas, there's been a plant operating since 2015.
Well, and the Orange County Water District has a plant like this already operating here,
Absolutely.
right here.
Yeah.
Right.
The difference is that the standards for Orange County Water District was to put the water back into the aquifer.
Right. So they treat it with all the same systems, but then they just do an aquifer and even another level of treatment in the aquifer, right? It kind of mixes in.
Well, it's not another treatment. They don't treat it any differently. Mm-hmm. It's just the hesitation to put it back directly into the lines.
Okay.
The systems were not designed for that. And it's going to take us a while to get to where we could even do it. Mm-hmm. Because when you go for direct potable reuse, then you're going to need to make sure that as you're processing it, before you send it back to the line, you've got to be testing it on the go continuously.
Right. Now let's take a look at there's a timeline chart I want to take a look at in terms of the regulations. This has been going on for a while. This has been going on for many years in terms of the process of the decision. It wasn't just some sort of overnight thing that happened.
No,
right?
this is something they started. It was really started back in 2010 here in California. It's a process, nothing happens when you're really changing the fundamental technology on some stuff, and particularly when it comes to health, you move slowly.
Right.
Now,
so it's been going on for many, many years in terms of the stages that it's going, and it's not like it's going to happen overnight. Like we said, this doesn't mean that this happens tomorrow.
No. It will take us 5 to 10 years, even now because the law, all it's done is given us permission to go direct.
Okay.
It doesn't mean we're ordered to do it. It's up to each agency to determine, does it make sense for us to do it? Is it economically viable?
Right.
And before we even implement it, and I can assure you, if we decide to do it, that we will have a lot of outreach. Everybody will be involved.
Right,
the same type of thing we did when we put in the recycling for landscaping. Mm-hmm. We spent a lot of time meeting with people, talking about it. How's it going to be set up? How is it protected so that those recycled lines do not interfere with the potable water lines?
Right.
Making sure that there's no cross connections. Mm-hmm. Those are the issues that you have to deal with as an agency.
Sure, that makes sense. And you see the little signs, don't drink this water, recycled water in use here.
That's right.
There's warnings, people understand, and it's very clear, and those kinds of things.
And you see that along the freeway.
Now, there are regulations associated with all of this that's coming down, right? So what do the regulations mean for
all the regulations mean is that they give us permission to do it, that we can do it. Doesn't say we have to. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the real process. It doesn't require any water agency to go to direct potable reuse.
Right.
It just says if you're going to do it, and if it makes economic sense for you, then these are the standards you have to meet. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And which is a far better way of doing it in a democracy, or in our case, or in any agency, to let the agency then decide.
Yeah, you have the structure in place. Here's the regulations you have to follow if you're going to pursue this pathway.
Absolutely.
And public input's going to be a major part of that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's unfortunate because you started out with this toilet to tap term.
Yeah, I know. I knew.
and I understand, and I got so upset when was a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, on Fox, Jimmy Kimmel, or I think it is, made the joke. Well, now California is going to be allowing everybody to drink their toilet water,
right?
Which is not true.
There's a visceral response to the idea and the concept, I think, and so many people, you don't want to see the sausage being made, but you want the sausage, right? And that's the thing. I think that people get in their heads, I can't drink this water because of what has gone through, and I think there's just that non-understanding of that there's a purification level that goes into this that just takes all of the dangers away.
Well, actually, the water is purer than what you get. I grew up in the Midwest, and when I was growing up, we got it out of our wells.
Right,
so we had to make sure the well was far enough from our sewer, from our septic tank and things like this. And this water is absolutely cleaner than what you're getting out of the ground in many areas.
So what's the El Toro Water District doing right now? Okay, the regulations have been passed by the state. Is there any action? Is there anything on the table at the El Toro Water District?
The only thing that we're doing at this point is we're seeking grant funding to kind of begin to study it and say, does it make sense? And if we got the grant funding, I'm not sure how much it was for, 50,000 or 100,000, and just to study the process. And this is where we are. Is it something that makes economic sense for us, or what would it take to even get there? And that we wouldn't have that decision for the next year or so.
Right.
Even. So nothing's changing at this point.
Nothing's changing. And I think that's the thing that people need to understand. It's not like we're just something the spigot's going to get turned on.
No, we don't operate that way. I mean, really, we have an opportunity, and particularly here with the village. It's about a third of our connected customers. We have the advantage of having village television, because at least we have a vehicle that we can communicate with the village customers. It's a lot harder for us to communicate to Mission Viejo, to Lake Forest, to Laguna Hills, because they don't have the same convenience that we have within this community.
Well, thank you for coming in and communicating to us today. Catherine Freshley from the El Toro Water District. We will have you back, I'm sure, to talk about this more in the future.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to be here.
I appreciate it. Happy New Year. When we come back, Sports Corner with Cole Young.